Okay, we should be on air now. So hello and welcome to IRL Season 10, Round 1 here at FP in Australia. Of course, last season it was the man you're watching right now, Matthew Walder, who ended up taking the championship alongside his teammate Sanjay Sorhug. They are teammates again this season. Matthew Walder, it seems he's invalidated, so that's going to be unfortunate for him. No time going to be set. The next one back is a Ferrari, I think. That's actually Lewis Walsman starting his lap, so I could go on board with him. I'll keep an eye on him at least. But I'm just trying to find someone who maybe is finishing a lap. I think maybe not Paco, that's Tim who's going to be finishing up. Of course, he was the commentator last season with me. We kind of switched between main comms, but he is going to be the first person to set a lap in Season 10 for FP, and it's going to be 21.2 in the Renault. And then in McLaren, Louis Quinlan just behind, of course, on the mediums as well, so it's going to be a little bit more pace in that. Jared Fosbury also on the mediums, 22.5, so very, very close between himself and Louis Quinlan in the McLaren. And yeah, so actually, early on, the AlphaTauri's setting laps, that was Joe Hollis setting a lap of a 21.6, so Tim actually seeming to have a pretty good lap, and I say that as this, maybe not, I'm not sure if they're teammates. Actually, they're not teammates, but Tom Jewell at least is going to go on provisional pole then with the 21.1, close between the two Renaults. Of course, they're teammates in F3. They're also continuing to be teammates in the AlphaTauri for F2 this season, so would be expecting them to be close. I know by the end of the season, Tim was closer to his teammate Tom, so might be seeing some fighting between them, especially given their in equal cars between the two of them. As there you go, Lewis Walsman in the Ferrari, kind of expected, I think. He is certainly quick. He's actually my teammate for F1, moved up. He was the F2 champion last season, so I'm expecting good pace from him, especially being the Ferrari, a kind of upper midfield car, I think. Or that's how I would view the Ferrari, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, early stages, not actually too many setting laps. Of course, we have a full grid, which is very, very nice to see. I think that's Luke Baker in the Mercedes. He's also on mediums, so it seems to be mediums is kind of a tyre of choice. Maybe going out for a second lap. Of course, you only have one medium available. It would be an interesting choice to do multiple laps on them. It says only one, so maybe actually he's going to be on his in lap as he invalidates anyway. So that's going to be the end of it regardless. As Ollie Flavel then in the other Ferrari, a 21.0, very, very close between the two Ferraris then. And of course the two Renaults. It's kind of like a 2x2 almost of the top four, two teams, and then yeah, kind of the AlphaTauris in there, McLaren. But we'll try and pick up someone who's starting up. There is a Ferrari going into the pit lane. That's Matthew Walder actually. Of course, you would be expecting him to be up there. He can do anything in any car. I mean, he won in the Williams, which actually sealed his championship in the last season. So, yeah, put him in any car. He's going to make himself competitive. It doesn't matter. It's Matthew Walder. I mean, he's a four-time champion in F1 as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he's an alien, is really what you would say. But he is going to be coming through to finish Sector 2 here. We'll see how much he's not necessarily actually up on his time. We'll see if he's purple. Yes, he is, of course. 48.2 that was. And Matthew Walder actually spinning out of turn 11 there. Not something that you usually see from Matthew. I mean, I'm sure he's mildly surprised at himself as well, because that's not a mistake that you see from Matthew. Matthew doesn't usually make mistakes. He's usually one to kind of lead from the front, but he invalidated his first lap. His second lap, of course, has gone down the drain from that spin, and he's going to have to come back to the pit lane once again. 10 minutes left. He should be able to get at least 2 more laps in by the end of this, but yeah, Matthew Walder, of course, he's also the defending champion of FPs. He's not having a good start to this quali session. Hopefully he can get a representative time on the board. That's Thomas McGyver now in the Red Bull. He should be quick. I mean, the Red Bull has to have you quick at least, if you're not even. Second best car on the grid, or it should be. He's going to be coming through what is turn 8. We'll see. Not taking the curb. Matthew didn't take it either, so maybe it's a better line. I'm not really sure what would be better, if it is to take it or not. Now coming up to where we saw Matthew Older, of course, he didn't have the best exit there. Had to go a little bit wide up on the curb, had to turn a little bit more, probably lifted off a little bit more than he probably would have liked, as a few more people joining the stream. So hello everyone, feel free to pop something in the chat, I do pay attention to it. So Thomas MacGyver anyway, another shaky moment. It's not been the best lap, but he did apparently have a purple sector 2, so this may well be pole position. No, it's going to be 9th. Slowest on the softs as well, so very much, if that was a purple sector 2, he clearly had a few mistakes in sector 1 and 3 at least, which has him down in 9th. Of course, the other Red Bull of Michael Marlowe just ahead of him, also in the Red Bull. That's Tim Brustadens now going P2. A small improvement on his time. I think he was on a 21.1 before, 20.0. Small improvement up to 2nd. So he'll be enjoying that, as now Ross Denham as well. I didn't actually notice that, but he's in 4th and now 5th, because Louis Quinlan has improved again to a 20.6, and well, that's actually quite a fair bit ahead of the rest of the grid. I would be thinking that Matthew Alders has something to say about that. He had a few purple sectors, just hasn't been able to hook up a lap, as I said, so I think we'll be expecting a big lap from him. Of course, he has time for 2 more. 8 minutes left. So we will pick him up when he starts his lap. Tim Brustadens is going to be on an in-lap. Lewis Wasman is going to be coming through the final few corners. He's certainly on lap. He's going to be looking for a bit of an improvement. He's on the softs, of course. He's on a 21.0, and he's going to improve to a 20.9, but not enough to take pole. Nowhere near, really, enough to take pole. He's 3/10 off of Louis Quinlan. So Louis Quinlan a fair bit ahead of the rest of the grid right now. Tim Brustadens is going to be on his in-lap. Tom Jewell is actually on a lap. He's got a purple sector 2 as well. A little bit shaky exiting the turn 11. Of course, it is a very tricky corner, as I think that's Matthew Older getting out of the way. Actually, no, that would be Rocco's to the Alpha that's on an out lap. So Matthew Older is going to be on a lap. We'll stay on board with Tom Jewell just to see how well he can improve, how much he can improve. He's on the 21.1. A lot of people are really on the 21.1 right now. Seems to be a common time to be setting, and he's going to improve. He's going to be on the 20.9, so 3rd person to go into the 20s, but not enough for pole. Matthew Older, I'm sure, is going to have something to say about it. He's had a purple sector 2. Not a great exit out of turn 11. Had to take a little bit more curb than he probably would have wanted. Probably a small lift there as well, because he really didn't have the best line, but I'm sure it's not going to affect him too much. Purple sector 2, I'm sure he had a purple sector 1 as well. Ollie Fevel now improves to also 20.6, just beats Louis Quinlan to provisional pole. Can Matthew Older do anything about it? He's going to go way on to pole. 20.6 as well, so 3 people, the top 3 within a 10th of each other, well within a 10th of each other. And yeah, it's Matthew Older again. You don't really expect much less from him, and he's on pole position, or provisional pole position at least for now. Tom Jewell has finished up his lap. He's going to be on his in-lap. He's set a 20.9. That's actually Lewis Curtis retiring from the session. Where is that? He's in the Haas. Yeah, that's out of turn 4, going into turn 5. So it seems that he's had not the best exit, maybe a little bit of an incident somewhere. I'm not completely sure. There's a Merc ahead of Ross Denham right now. I did see that he had a purple sector 2, at least according to the track map. Doesn't look like he has the best setup. He's kind of sliding through the final corner. He's going to go 2nd with a 20.6 as well. So the top 4 all in a 20.6, but Ross Denham can't do enough to beat Matthew Older. There's 300ths between them two, and he's going to have to stay behind for now. There's Louis Quinlan on a on an outlap. He did have provisional pole earlier. I can't speak. Earlier on in the session, I should say. So I'm sure he's going to be wanting to take that back. Looks like there's a Ferrari going into the pits. That would be Ollie Flavel, I guess. He did set a lap recently. Yeah, most people actually in the pits right now. Orseno, of course, just set his lap. Louis Quinnen's going to be setting a lap. Luke Baker is actually on a lap. 22.6 from him currently. It's not an amazing lap, it has to be said, but of course, he's actually down by 5 seconds. So I'm sure he had some sort of mistake in Sector 2, maybe Sector 1. Actually, I'm not sure how that properly works, if it's by sector or just takes into account the first two, but regardless, he's down by 5 seconds, and I would assume he's going to be coming into the pits, especially with his invalidated lap, and he's going to go back out and try again at the end. Yeah, he is into the pits for Luke Baker. But I did see Louis Quinnen, he was on an outlap, and he is going to be coming around the final corner to start what will very much be his final lap, unless he comes into the pits on this lap, as his outlap was apparently quick, or maybe that's just the fact that it's an outlap and come out of the pits. But he's going to be in Sector 1 now, approaching Turn 3. It's quite a heavy braking zone, a little off with the corner as well, slightly a blind corner if you want to put it like that. Turn 4 as well, you want to kind of get the curb quite nicely and go quite wide. Looks like it's been good. It's a 10th up in Sector 1 as well. Sector 1 really the place where you want to be gaining the time, because there's the most possibility really to gain time. This corner as well has quite a potential for time gain, but unfortunately he's going to invalidate there, and that's going to be the end of his lap, as we've got now 10 people in the stream, which is amazing to see. So hello. I can't speak, but yeah, hello everyone, and I hope you're enjoying the comms. Looks like Shane Colliard is actually on a lap, and he's also got a purple Sector 1 in the Racing Point. Of course, the Racing Point, quite a quick car. It's a car that no one would be upset about having. He's going to be coming through Turn 8 now, a very crucial corner, as it brings you all the way through towards Turns 10 and 11. And now the exit is, of course, also very crucial, as he really hasn't got it right. He almost hits the wall. He just kind of didn't really turn in early enough, and that's really the end of his lap. He had a purple Sector 1 as well, and that's going to be the end of his lap, and really the end of his quali. 2 minutes left. There's no time to go back out, so unfortunate for Shane. His pack was, oh my word. Well, we just caught that. We went over to him. I knew he was on a lap, and that's Paco Suarez in Turn 1. He's not going to be able to set a lap, and it's 19th at best, unless Sylvain Vezier does a better lap. He's going to be coming out of the pits, so I'm sure he just needs to set a lap, and Paco is going to be down to 20. So very unfortunate for Paco there to have crashed. And also, he did have a crash somewhere in the preseason race for F2 as well, so not really going well for him for the start of this season, but hopefully for his sake it can go better in the race. Of course, it'll be a last question mark challenge for him, as we pick up Rocco Walsh here. He's going to be on a lap, or is he? He's going quite slowly, so maybe he's looking for another lap afterwards? Yeah, he is. He's not actually using ERS, so it seems he's gone for a back-to-back lap. Obviously his first lap wasn't good enough. Shane is 2 seconds down, so it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing any improvement from him. Joe Hollis is also on a lap. I think it's Matthew Alder just ahead of him. So he's currently on pole, so we'll see if Matthew Alder improves his time just by a little bit. It might be the difference. You never know. The top four, of course, all has a 20.6. It doesn't look like he has actually improved his time. Joe Hollis, it doesn't look like he improved either, still 12th place, or maybe he didn't, I didn't really realise. If he did improve, it wasn't by much. As Matthew Alder, is he on a lap now? Actually, maybe he is, so maybe I made a mistake there. as he's going to be going a little bit too wide, and well, he's not going to be improving, so he's going to be hoping that people behind him don't improve by too much. As we do see Ross Denham, he's in second, he's on a 20.6, he's going to be looking for an improvement. Can he do it though? He can with a 20.4, so he takes a provisional pole away from Matthew Alder. Ollie Flavel is currently on lap. Tom Jewell promotes himself to P3 as the 20.6, another one in a 20.6, so a tiny little thing in the lap could be the difference really for this pole position. You just never know. Ollie Flavel on a lap, he's going to be looking for a 20.4, maybe a 20.3. I mean, he's going to have to be, at the end of the day, quicker, as Lewis Walsman now improves in the other Ferrari. He's on a 20.3, so he's showing what's possible, at least, as it's a Red Bull off in the grass. But we're going to stay on board with Ollie Flavel. Of course, he was up there in the early stages of qualifying, and this is a 20.6. It's not much of an improvement. Even a small one will get him at least third, so it's really up to him how much can he improve by. If he can get this pole position and take it away from Lewis Walsman as he goes a little bit too wide, that's not going to be an improvement. Really unfortunate there for Ollie Flavel, and that's really his lap over, as Louis Quinlan is coming around the same section of track. He's not gonna, no, he is actually gonna go a little bit too wide. It's gonna be an invalidation. Not quite like Ollie going a bit more too wide, but he's gonna stay 6th place, as I think someone else finished the lap. I'm not sure. It looked like everyone moved down by one position, but I noticed a difference. As Fezier does go up to P8, so Paco demoted to 20th. Sondre Sohag as well, I didn't even notice he hasn't set a lap. I don't think I noticed him out on track either. So maybe something happened with him. Nino Romanello also not setting a lap, as I have got a few comments. I will check them now. It doesn't look like anything else is going to happen anyway. So yeah, Cameron expecting a close quali. I would say the same. Main FP always does bring quite close races. And well, maybe. I mean, he did improve in the end, Cameron, but yeah, Lewis did a Nakashima 09. Well, I didn't quite see it, but yeah, regardless, it is Lewis Walsman who's going to take pole in the first round, only just over Ross Denham in second in the Racing Point, and third, of course, the defending champion of Matthew Alder in the Alfa Romeo. He's 2/10 off. And then it's Tom Jewell in 4th, Ollie Flavel 5th, Louis Quinlan in 6th, Michael Marlowe 7th, Sylvain Vazier in 8th, Tim Bruce Aliens in 9th, Lewis Curtis in 10th, Jared Fosbury, Brandon Glover, Joe Hollis, Luke Baker, Thomas McIver, Shane, and then we'll see at the end. That's Rocco Walsh. Why did I take so long? And then Nino, Sondre, and Paco not setting times. I apologise for that, Rocco. Oh yeah, I actually forgot about that, but 2 points for pole for this season. So Lewis Osman actually confirms himself 2 points to start off, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Oh yeah, he was actually talking about that at the end of last season, of running the line. I mean, in a situation where you get a good car if you do badly, I mean, it's not really a loss to use line, I guess, so hopefully that goes well for him. Of course, he's put himself down in 17th, which is not good, but it can only really go up. from there. Of course, have to respect someone running no one. I don't know what I'd do without it personally. As they funnel through, of course, we'll kind of, I guess, we'll go over Lewis Wassman in the Ferrari. I kind of would expect him to be someone who can convert the pole to the win. Ross Denham is, of course, in a Racing Point, which is a quick car, but I can't see, like, I mean, Lewis Wassman, he's quick, he's got experience at the front as well. In F2, of course, from last season. I mean, he won the championship, so yeah, I don't see him going, well, I don't see him not getting the, oh, that was, well, I mean, I'm talking about him in a light that, like, he'd win the race and convert the pole, but he's spun out of the hairpin, which is not a great thing to have happen right before you're gonna start, but he is gonna make his way to the grid regardless. But yeah, I do think he'll convert the pole. I think Matthew will take the second, and then I think Tom Joe will grab the third. I just don't see Ross staying there, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. I don't know. That's my predictions. Of course, we'll see what will actually happen in this turn 1. Turn 1 can make or break someone's race sometimes. If it's going to update. There we go. So 5 red lights for round 1 at FP. And it's lights out and away we go, and it looks like Tom Joule hasn't actually got a good start. The McLaren of Louis Quinlan, I should say, getting alongside him and ahead of him. Tom Joule actually dropping quite a few positions, so it's going to be Lewis Wassman who does lead into turn 1. Matthew Waller has got past Ross Denham already for the P2 as he gets very close to the back of Lewis Wassman there, Matthew Waller, but he just about doesn't hit the back of his rear, so Ross Denham losing 1 position in the early stages. It's going to be kind of difficult to commentate here since the positions are very, very messed up, but I do see a Haas in the background going side by side with, I think, a Merc. And there's also an AlphaTauri. Oh, a massive crash, actually. It seems a bit of a pile-up. The grid got very distanced there. I really could not see what was happening. An AlphaTauri, yeah, that was Jared Fosbury, I guess, going around. He was side by side with, I think, a Merc, but I'm not completely sure. I didn't get a proper good look at it. Whatever did happen, it did kind of split the grid in two. The top 7 really has already got a bit of a breakaway. Lewis Curtis is the one leading this train. Actually, maybe it's not as big of a break as I thought. The virtual safety car might have came out a little earlier, so maybe it didn't completely split up the grid as they continue on. So yeah, it didn't actually, but yeah, something happened there, I guess. Jared Fosbury went side by side with someone and he came off worse, it seems, as Lewis Wassman, of course, getting the fastest lap, being the first one to cross the line on lap 1, as a few people predicting. That's Brandon Clover, Tom Joule as well. It seemed he had a bad start. I'm not completely sure what happened after that. Maybe he was involved in that crash that Jared had, or maybe he came off worse. Maybe he couldn't avoid someone. But yeah, regardless, he's in the pits on lap 1. It's not something he would have wanted, I'm sure, starting P4. So he'll be hoping for a safety car. A few people in the pits, I'm sure, will be hoping for a safety car. Rocco Walsh with no line, I guess, up to 13th. He started down in 17th, so he's making progress on the field, and I do hope he keeps making progress for his sake. As they funnel through, Ross Denham has actually kept with the top 2. in the early stages. Doesn't look like the top guy's making many mistakes, and actually, well, I said he was keeping with them and no mistakes. I actually saw Matthew Walder there at the exit of turn 11 have a little bit of a moment, and of course Ross Denham had a bit bigger of a moment, and he's almost gone into the wall. He's kept his wing clean, very luckily for him, but he drops from 3rd to 5th, and he's also put himself under pressure by Michael Marlowe, and there's no DRS on lap 2. It's going to be getting activated now, so the first time they'll get to use it is out of the exit of turn 11. Maybe someone's going to crash in the next few laps. It seems like people are really struggling with it. But yeah, Ross Denham now down to 5th. There's Jared and Shane. Actually, Shane crashed. He has crashed, or maybe not crashed. He has his front wing, but he's quite a ways off the grid and quite a ways off Jared. It seems he was in front of Jared only a few moments ago, so he's now down into last. And of course, all these guys at the back very much off the grid, trying to go maybe to the end on those hards, but I doubt that would be possible. It's a very long way to go. Lewis Wassman actually gapping the field now. He's 1.3 seconds ahead of Matthew Alder. Matthew Alder under a bit of pressure by Louis Quinlan in the McLaren, as there was a little bit of dirt kicked up there, so it looks like someone turned in a little dirt. But it doesn't look like there's any big fights happening though. It's just kind of people making mistakes more so, as Louis Quinlan actually picks up a penalty. A 3-second penalty there, and Tom Jewell doing the same. So that's not going to go well for them, especially Tom Jewell is trying to make a bit of a comeback. It's going to be more difficult to get into the top 10 with that. See, there's Joe Hollis in the pit lane. On go to hards, an early pit stop onto the hards. He started, of course, on the softs, so maybe he's going for a bit of an undercut, as, yeah, again, the teleport of cars in the pit lane. That's just normal Codemasters things. So Nino's trying to hold off Paco Suarez in the McLaren there. I would assume the McLaren is faster, so... As actually, that was Joe Hollis coming out of the pits. He's trying to go around the outside of Brendan Glover. Brendan Glover on the softs. He didn't start on those softs. It doesn't look like. He must have pit over to them. And Brendan Glover is always going to win that battle, of course. It's hards versus the softest tire. Softest tire, the grip, it doesn't really matter who you are. The softest are going to win that. And Bron keeps his P13. Now, actually... maybe a little bit under pressure. Tom Jewell walks up to the gearbox of Joe Hollis as well. So let's see if anything will happen. Something will happen as Tom Jewell he's out of this race. Round turn 11, it's been a problem for other drivers in quali as well. Of course, Matthew Alder was victim to it, almost wasn't able to set a lap, but he got one in the end. Tom Jewell is now out of this race, started 4th, had to pit lap 1, and yeah, it's gone from bad to worse, and he is the first retirement, a virtual safety car, for good measure as well. Unfortunate for Tom. I was kind of hoping he would do a little better than that. Of course, I had him for 3rd in my prediction. That's certainly not happening anymore. One race that is going well though is Lewis Wasman's. He's now gapped the pack behind him by almost 3 seconds, and I'm sure after the VSC he's going to get that last little bit to gap him by 3 seconds, which means if he got a penalty it wouldn't even matter. Of course, I'm sure you would be hoping... Oh, Matthew Walder was a penalty. Drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. So that's his race over, pretty much. because I'm sure he would be pitting soon. He's gonna kind of have to pit twice now, as he's also under pressure by Louis Quinlan for good measure. He holds him off. Louis Quinlan trying to make this move. He goes a bit up on the curb. Ollie Flavel is trying to go on his inside. He's gonna have the outside for turn 3. They're going to be going side by side. It looks like Louis Quinlan has the better line, and he's going to be able to squeeze Ollie out there, so he's not going to lose a position, but he almost did. Of course, he went for a move on one, almost lost one. He stays as is, and it, I'm sure, allows Lewis Holtzman to gap them a little bit more. Oh, Luke Baker's out as well, turn 11. I can't spectate him anymore, but he is out. So turn 11 claims another victim, and it looks like the Red Bull of Michael Morrow is also approaching this train, as now Massey Walder also gets a 3-second pen. So not only will he have to serve a drive through and probably pit in a lap or two later, he's also going to have a 3-second penalty to worry about, so it might just demote him to bottom end of the points by the end of it. I'm sure he'll still get points, but it's not going to be as good as, yeah, there he goes into the pit lane to serve his drive-through. Unfortunate for him. I'm sure he would have wanted better. But it's how it is sometimes, and now the fight for second loses one person at least, is Shane. I'm not going to say that, but yeah, he messed up with the fast chicane. Yeah, unfortunate, Shane. Luckily, you're still going though, because you haven't lost a wing, so it could be worse. And it looks like Paco Suarez has actually got past Nino. So yeah, the McLaren certainly quicker. I mean, I would think, of course, Nino is an F1 driver, so on equal terms he would be quicker, but the McLaren has got a pace advantage, so Paco is going to go off into the distance a little bit and is going to try and chase down that leading pack. And 2 Alfa Romeos now. Of course, they're not teammates, but Massey Walder coming out just behind, as there you go, the first guy in from the front, Louis Quinlan. Joe Hollis has actually pit before these guys, but it looks like something's actually happened to him, because I'm pretty sure he came in early from at least mid-pack, but I guess he had to pit again actually. As he's going to come out, there's Massey Walder pitting actually, so he's going to come out just ahead of Rocco Walsh, and he's going to go into ninth. And wait, he's... well, that's a bit odd. He still has 7-lap old softs, but he did pit. I'm not sure what's going on there. If that's a glitch for me, then sure, but I would assume that he would have gone on hards, unless he's going for 2-stop, but still, he's on 7-lap old soft, so I don't know how that's happened. Okay, it said there was another... oops. Yeah, it said there was another comment there, but there wasn't. So PlayStation lied to me. As in goes Ollie Flavel now. Of course, Louis Quinlan pit a lap earlier. He's going to be coming through the final corner right now. It seems Ollie should have this. I'm not completely sure. We'll go on board with Louis Quinlan. Ollie Flavel will be popping out on the right, and actually no, Louis Quinlan has it quite significantly. Of course, Ollie Flavel was behind him before the pit stops, I'm pretty sure. So after the pit stops, it just means he's on better tyres, really. actually here is Lewis Curtis. Michael Marlowe didn't actually make a move on him. He was in front before, but Lewis Curtis is going to be on the outside, and he's going to make it just before the corner as well. Easy kind of DRS move there. And he moves himself up into P2 on track at least. Of course, provisionally, this is going to be 4th or 5th, I think. Will he pit though? No, he stays out. Lewis Walsman also staying out. So, interesting. I did see someone go onto the mediums last week and take them to the end. Just stretch the soft stint a little. It'll be interesting if they're trying the same. Of course, the hard tires will be better than these soft, so they're going to be getting... They're going to be losing time by staying out. It's just really how much can they gain on the mediums later on, if that's what they're trying. Of course, Ollie Flavel... Oh wait, really? Oh yeah, Louis Cullen. What has happened to Louis Cullen? Oh, a puncture. Well, of course it's going to be a puncture. It doesn't seem like the game actually changed his tires the first time he went into the pits though. Because he exited the pits with 7-lap old softs, and I don't know how he would have got them unless he used the same softs in quali multiple times. Even then, I don't think it shows that. I'm pretty sure if you use them in the race, it shows 0. Well, yeah, no, of course it does, because, like, yeah, it does. So I don't see how he could have came out on 7-lap old softs. So that is odd. As another virtual safety car, no full safety car yet. That's for Joe Hollis. He has crashed out at the exit of turn 5, I think it is. So another DNF, that's the 3rd DNF for this race. And pretty much everyone uses it as an opportunity to pit. Lewis was, I'm getting mixed up between two drivers, I apologise, but yeah. Lewis Walsman, he was leading this race before the pit stops, and with a virtual safety car to aid him, he is going to retain, oh my word. He's going to retain his lead. He's actually led every single lap of this race, and of course coming out on the mediums as well, so that's what he was trying. He comes out on the mediums, he's in the lead, so it looks like he's going to be able to lead every single lap of this race, and if he does and takes fastest lap, which I'm pretty sure he has, that would be a complete... oh my word, what is wrong with me? I don't usually talk like this, I'm sorry. But he's going to take a clean sweep this weekend. Or week, I should say. And off he goes, really into the distance from Nino's perspective. Ollie Flavel, the other Ferrari, it seems he is, by pitting a little earlier, has actually jumped comfortably, jumped some of the other guys. Lewis Curtis is now behind him, 1.5 seconds separate them, so he's going to have to put in some good laps early on with this medium stint. Of course, Rocco Walsh did just get past there. He's on hards, old hards, you would expect that. Michael Marlowe looks like has him in his sights as well. Papa Suarez 3 seconds down the road. So really it depends how long he's going to be staying out. Those mediums can go from here, so I would assume Rocco's going for a hard soft. Try to be super quick at the end. So that's just the Williams getting out of the way. That's Sondre Sorhag getting out of the way. Which I haven't really, it's kind of gone unnoticed, at least to me, but he's lost by quite a lot, and I don't really know how he's got there. In quali he didn't actually get to set a time, so it's really not the race for Sondre Sorhag. And of course there's Lewis Walsman. He's very much going off into the distance now. He's with no mistakes and no safety cars to get in his way, he's got this really. There's no way. I can't see him losing it now. Ollie Flavela's closest competition at the moment, and then there's Lewis Curtis, who's also on the mediums, so he would have to be quite a bit quicker. And the Haas is really not superior to Ferrari in any way. As Michael Marlowe just there in the background making the move on Rocco Walsh. So Rocco loses another position. Of course, he is still yet to pit on those hards, as is Nino Romanello. Could be a kind of a dark horse, Nino running second right now. Oh, and that's actually quite a bad exit. I was going to say it wasn't great, but he's actually lost the position to Paco Suarez there. Paco, an easy move there. And I'm sure Paco will be happy with that he can get a move on those mediums to try and catch up to Michael Marlowe and Lewis Curtis, who are a little bit up the road. Ollie Flavel is going to be actually fighting with Lewis Curtis soon, it seems, because Lewis Curtis is eating into that gap, 1.2 seconds between them, almost in the DRS range. So I'm sure once he gets into the DRS range, those mediums are going to be superior to the hards. Of course, they're fresher than the hards as well, so they're better in every way. It just kind of depends, really, the skill gap, I guess. Because as I said, the Haas isn't quicker than the Ferrari. It's not so far off, I wouldn't think. Maybe on a track like Australia, I can't actually check. I'll check it. I'll see which is quicker. And okay, well, the Ferrari is actually a lot worse than I thought. Ferrari and Haas being quite similar, and Alfa Romeo apparently being the slowest car. So yeah, Ferrari powered cars really not having a nice time today. But, of course, doesn't really matter for Lewis Wassman, because he is very much in the distance. He's winning this race, it seems, as Ollie Flavel laps some cars there. That's Sondre and Thomas McIver. And Lewis Curtis is about to do the same. It's actually a full safety car. What is that for? No one knew DNF'd. As into the pits for Nino Romanello. That's actually a perfect pit stop for him. Perfectly timed, so he's going to be loving life right now. Should be onto the mediums for him. To the end. And also for Rocco Walsh, it's a perfect pit stop. Ollie Flavel, interestingly, taking the opportunity to pit. Of course, Lewis Wassman didn't have that same luxury. Ollie Flavel is very much going to be able to go to the end. Lewis Wassman is going to be able to as well, but they're going to be quite dead by the end. 4 laps in the difference. A few more people taking that opportunity. Tim and Vezier also. Paco Suarez is going to get promoted to 4th. He's not opted to take the chance to pit. Neither Marco Marlowe or Lewis Curtis. So the top 4 all staying out. Matthew Walder also staying out in his hards. I guess he'll have to, if he wants to salvage something from this race. I still don't know where the safety car came from, because no one DNF'd. There was Joe, Luke and Tom who DNF'd early on, and nothing happened since, so I don't know why it's out, but it's out. And they're going to form up behind it, and it's, I was going to say saved, but it's not saved, because we have lapped cars. So they're not going to be able to unlap themselves, unfortunately, because the game doesn't have the mechanic. Which, if it did, it would probably just cause more glitches, so probably for the best. Lewis Osman warms up his tires. Lewis Curtis just behind him in the Haas. This is Williams actually splitting them. That's Sondre Svorog who's lapped. And also Thomas MacGyver in between them. So Lewis Osman has a bit of breathing room anyway, which is good for him. Unless that Ross Denholm is going to be able to actually... Down to Shane, so it's actually saved Shane's race as well. So Shane did say in the chat on the Discord that he made a mistake out of turn 11, which is, as we saw already. But his race is saved, and maybe he can go on to get points. He's on completely fresh mediums, actually the freshest on the grid. So he has an advantage tyre wear wise on everyone. And Racing Point is the third quickest car, so it's got every advantage, pretty much. It'll be very interesting how Nino does now, because he was taking his hards a little longer. It is a kind of balancing act. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He chose the hards to try and go longer, and sometimes he benefited the safety car. So, yeah. Good for him. And also Rocco. Because not many people outside the top 10 actually opted for hards, and if they did, then they would have benefited here. But it looks like the safety car is going to be going in next lap as a slowdown that's not actually going in this lap. It is going to be next lap, I'm sure. Obviously you might get confirmation. Or maybe not. See, I think the predictions are still intact for at least the win, Lewis Osman. Behind him, I said Matthew Alder. I mean, he is Matthew Alder, so I wouldn't say no to the possibility that he could actually make some moves on people with fresher tires ahead of him. But being in the slowest car, it seems, for this race, and on the hards as old as they are, I'd say he's probably not going to lose positions, but maybe gaining them is going to be difficult at least. As for Lewis Osman having two cars between himself and Lewis Curtis off the start, I really don't think there's anything to bother him really. He's probably just going to keep leading. And if everyone else behind him starts fighting, because Nino I'm sure is going to upset the, well, second to fourth. If they fight, Lewis Osman might end up going into the distance again. And there you go, there's confirmation safety car in this lap, so we will be seeing Lewis Osman leading the field for Sector 3 as the safety car goes off to return to the pit lane. Again, I don't really know for what incident, but it has certainly spiced up the race. And here we go then, as Lewis Osman crosses the line to start lap 18. Lewis Curtis is still behind the 2 laps where he's going to be trying to get past him. At least he's got a bad exit. There's Michael Marlowe now up into P2 as he goes down the inside. Lewis Curtis is trying to get his wing in there. It looks like he just about did, but he wasn't enough alongside to try and make a move. Lewis Osman now 2.5 seconds into the lead. As this yellow flags in 6-1, that is for Sandra Sorag, maybe? Oh, yeah, it is Sandra Sorag. And that is for, so Michael Marlowe gets past the ghost car, but actually, no, he's round. And a massive crash. That's also that's Matthew Walder, I think, involved in that. He's got damage now. A few people actually getting damage off that because of Michael Marlowe's spin, and Sylvain Vezier now suddenly up into second place. A virtual safety car, which I'm sure Lewis Wassman won't mind. He's now 7 seconds in the lead, which is very nice for him. Lewis Curtis loses 1 position. He luckily didn't come off badly in Michael Marlowe's spin. He's got a fully intact front wing. Ollie Flavel is also okay, it seems, and Nino, actually, he's not going to be happy with that. He's going to be coming into the pits. He's lost wing from that, and with his strategy the way it was, it actually worked a washes with both of them. Both of these guys took their hards longer than anyone else to try and maybe get a safety car like they did, or at least just be quicker at the end. And it's unfortunate now. They went on to the mediums, and now they're outside the points, where it really was looking good for both of them. So after that virtual safety car, which is like the 4th one this race, and a safety car on top of that, so we've seen lots of safety cars this race, but Lewis Wassman is still leading this race. He hasn't stopped at any point. Even with his first pit stop, he rejoined in the race lead, so no one has taken it off him yet. And at every single lap, Sylvain Vezier is in second. He's set a purple sector 2 as well. He's of course on fresh enough mediums, I'd say. Lewis Curtis in third, maybe losing a little bit of ground, you could say, to Sylvain Vezier. And I think Sylvain Vezier is quite quick. I think he's in F1 if I can remember correctly, or I swear he is, but maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, being in that Merc, I would expect him to be at least keeping pace with Lewis as they funnel through to finish lap 19. This is a bit of a bad camera angle, but it seems Ross Dunham now is trying to make a move on Brandon Glover. Brandon Glover is going to be defending into turn 3 maybe, as Ross Dunham actually gets a time penalty for going a bit wide. But is he going to be making a move now? Brandon Glover moves slightly out to the right to try and defend, but it doesn't look like he needs to. Is that damage for Brandon Glover? Actually, maybe a little bit. As a massive crash. That's Thomas MacGyver crushing, I think, where Lewis Curtis did in the qualifying. I think it was Lewis Curtis who crashed anyway. So Thomas MacGyver is your 4th retirement of the day, but still Ross Denham trying to make a move on Brandon Glover. It looks like actually he does have an intact wing, so he's going to be going on the outside. It's really not a good place. I wouldn't recommend it to go side by side through here. And he is going to back out, as now Jared Fosbury is going to have a good exit. He might be able to dive it down the inside, you never know, as Ross Denham now is going to try again around the outside of Brandon Glover. It might not be working though, because now Jared Fosbury is going to try it down the inside. Who will come off worse or better from this? Louis Quinlan trying to get involved as well. The 2 racing points involved in this. Brandon Glover still leading the way, and Ross Dunham again is going to have some DRS assistance as well. It might be a move into turn 1 as Brandon Glover defends into turn 1. I'm sure Jared Fosbury is going to be taking advantage of whatever opportunity he can seize, as he's a little bit too far off. Ross Denham now up on the grass as well, trying to make this move work. Can he do it though, as he goes a little bit deep? He locks up on the curb a little bit, but I think that is actually going to be the move sealed, and Brandon Glover drops to P7, as also Jared Fosbury drops to be 10. Was that from a mistake? Does he have a wing? No, he does have wing damage. Shane right behind him, he's about to get back into the points. I'm sure it's not a sight he would be thinking he'd be seeing again today. Is Ross Denham yeah, no, he's hit the wall somehow. He was ahead, but he's hit the wall. Shane is now also with damage from somewhere. He's trying to make a move on Jared Fosbury. All three of these guys in the train with some kind of wing damage. Michael Marlowe and Brandon both okay. Louis Quinlan okay as well. So they're going to push on as Brendan Glover actually almost loses the rear end out of turn 12 actually, I should say. I think it is. Excuse me. His throat's getting really dry at this point as he's actually spun. That's crossed Denham out of turn 11. So that's his day over. Could have caused another safety car. Would have been kind of annoying if he did. But no new safety cars for now. And that's the 5th retirement of the day. But won't stop Thomas MacGyver from... Or no, sorry, Michael Marlowe I should say. As we get a little bit of bad camera angle and somehow he's been pushed off. And actually, yeah, that's really good sportsmanship there. Michael Marlowe giving the place back. He knew it was wrong how he got past him, and he gave Brandon the position back, and now he's going to try to overtake him again somewhere down the line. So yeah, I have to commend that good sportsmanship from him. Is that Sundray? Oh, it won't let me use driver select anymore. Oh, that's annoying. But yeah, I think it was actually Sundray. It looked like a Williams. As he'll be going up into 15th soon. But yeah, back to what I was saying though, good sportsmanship. Like I do want to make it known that he did do that, because there's not a lot of people who would give the position back if something like that happened. So I have to commend him. Always nice to see a bit of sportsmanship. As Paco Suarez out of turn 11, turn 11 claiming quite a few drivers. Is actually Matthew Walder, it seems. Has he lagged out or is he just getting lapped? He's actually getting lapped, isn't he? He is. So he hasn't actually lagged out or anything. He's getting lapped. There's Sondre Sorog at turn 11 as well. Moments after Paco Suarez, he's going to be spinning his car back round. So yeah, really not the day, not Sondre's day at all. In the Williams, and yeah, he just loses a bit more time. He'll be going up into 14th, so he's benefiting from these DNFs. He hasn't DNF'd himself from turn 11 as he did spin there moments ago, but if he can keep this up and people do keep crashing, maybe he can snatch a punch. You never know. It is the benefits of continuing on that you may benefit from other people crashing. You just never know, really. So he's going to be continuing on, which fair play to him. And Grover now still holding off Michael Marlowe. He is going to have DRS going on to the start-finish straight. Brendan Glover, I'm sure, is going to be defending once again. We'll go on board as Brendan Glover goes to the inside line to try and defend. Michael Marlowe is really closing. He's going to go into turn 1. He had a look at the outside, but he's going to break a little bit earlier, have a better exit now. And I think into turn 3 we're going to at least see them side by side. He's going to pull to the outside line. Brendan Glover on the inside this time compared to last time, and they're going to go through quite nicely. Michael Marlowe on the inside, and he's going to squeeze Brendan Glover out, and he's going to get that place as there's Shane behind getting a penalty moments ago. But yeah, Michael Marlowe this time there's no contact or anything, and this time he is going to get up into 7th place. Tim Brustaden is actually out of nowhere, kind of, up in 5th place. So that's nice to see, because I don't think the start of his race was too good. He started in 9th, up to 5th, maybe 4th, you never know. Because he's got 6 seconds bent, so maybe not actually. He's not going to be benefiting from anyone right now. So we'll have to make some moves on track. As after that move, Michael Marlowe putting a little bit of a gap to Brendan Glover now. as Jared Fosbury gets a 3-second penalty. Oops. Jared Fosbury with his first, actually. Who is that? That's Ollie Flavo. I thought that was Lewis Walsman for a second, but it's not. Lewis Walsman is still out in the lead, but Ollie Flavo, he was running third, I think it was, and he's now dropped to fifth. A little bit of a mistake up on the grass. Maybe he was going side by side with someone. I'm not completely sure what was happening there. But regardless, he is now down to fifth. Tim Verstadens and Lewis Curtis get promoted one position each. Tim now is going to be looking maybe for a move. Of course, Ollie Flavo will gain these positions back after pens. But here comes Tim though. He's going to go to the inside. It's Lewis Curtis. He's not going to be defending to the inside. And into turn one, he's going to get the move pretty easily. And I will see, can Lewis Curtis come back? And then, of course, DRS for Tim. He gets the second bite of the cherry. And he's going to stay ahead. And he's going to keep his podium spot for now. As actually get a very nice helicopter shot there. My English is all over the place today. Don't know why. It doesn't help that my throat is dry as a desert right now. Oh my word, there's another one off. That's an off with Towery. It's gotta be Jared Fosbury. Yeah, round he goes there. As his front wing gets collected there by not Sondre Sorog, but that would be Brandon Glover actually. And yeah, no end plates on either side of that wing. So he's going to be getting no turn in whatsoever. As Michael Molo has pulled a little bit of a gap to the fight he was in earlier. And he gets a little bit closer to Louis Quinlan. Louis Quinlan with 17 seconds of penalties. Actually Shane with 17 as well. So he's not the only one. But he will be losing a position to Michael Marlowe and Brandon Glover for sure. Is that rain? It is rain right at the end of the race, so maybe it's going to be getting a little slippy right at the dying moments as Brandon Glover and Shane, it looks like they were going side by side momentarily there, but Brandon stays in front. And yeah, there's very much rain on the Albert Park circuit right now. Lap 27 out of 29. Is that Fez here? Is that... No, he's fine. There's a... Oh, Inters, really? As Sondre's spinning again. But Inters... As well, he's actually going off. I don't think it's time for Inters. Yeah, no, it's definitely not. As he gets caught by the curb there. The sausage curb, really. As it's called. But yeah, it really doesn't... excuse me. It really doesn't seem time for Inters right now. The fight for P3 is close as ever, really. Is a second almost between the three. Tim, of course, leading the train. DRS is still in activation, as there's another one that's, well, I mean, again, you should say, but it's Jared Fosbury spinning at turn 11, and I'm sure we'll see him in a second, as Tim was actually having quite a bad time on those mediums. But as actually Ollie Flavo's going down the inside now of Lewis Curtis, and despite the sliding, they are giving each other enough space. That's Lewis Curtis on the outside now. Gets a little bit squeezed, and he's not going to be able to make a move there. And spinning into the pits, but it looks like they are going into the pits. I don't know why. I mean, it's going to be time for Inters for a lap. I really don't think that's quicker than staying out. Tim Brustalians is going to stay out. And of course, Ollie would have benefited from pens there as well on Tim. It doesn't look like he'll benefit anymore. Really? No, 6 seconds. They're still in the pits, so he's going to have to gain a lot. So I guess we'll see which strategy ends up being better. As a few people are now going into the pits for just one lap of Inters. Maybe someone in a party said it was time and everyone's going in. Of course, Lewis Wasman is going to be staying out. The closest person to him on Inters is Ollie Flavel. But he's miles off though. And Sylvain Vessier is a little bit further away from Lewis Wasman. So it looks like Lewis Wasman is going to cruise really. Because there's Jared Fosbury. Jared Fosbury is clearly quicker than him on those Inters. So Inters are definitely the tyre of choice. It's really just... Can Tim be caught really? Because Tim and Ollie were in a bit of a battle. He needs to catch it a little bit more. Needs to be within 6 seconds by the end. But Lewis Curtis is rounding the penultimate and final corner now. He's led every single lap of this race. He also got pole position. There's the Ferrari guys punching their fists out to prove they do have the win. Lewis Wasman wins round 1 in FP in Australia and takes maximum points. So really well done, Tim. Actually, I'm not sure if he has the fastest lap as well. That's actually going to go to Matthew Walder. So he didn't get everything, but I mean, I'm sure leading every single lap, like there wasn't a second that he wasn't in first. So absolutely knocked it out of the park. Really big congratulations to him. Tim Brustalians ends up actually keeping his P3, so Ollie Flavel pitting on the last lap really wasn't the way to go. He would have had a podium if he stayed out, but he opted for the Inters instead. Shane crosses the line in 6th, but he's going to lose it to Michael Marlowe. So Michael Marlowe actually 6th. Lou Cunnan in 9th. He's probably going to lose position to Rocco Walsh. It depends how many pens he has. This is for the final point. Nino Romanello just behind him, as well as Nino Romanello is actually... No, he's not going to be crashing. But is he going to take the final point off? No. Nino Romanello can't, so Rocco Walsh takes the final point. And then outside of the points, well, obviously Nino, but it's also going to be Matthew, Jared and Sandre, and 6 DNFs today. Not something you always see. Started with 20, ended with 14. And given he led every single lap, he wasn't even in a battle with anyone. He never went side by side with anyone. There's really no way he's going to lose that. As Shane gets it out of the way, but I would personally give it to Lewis Wasman. Leading every single lap. There wasn't a lap he didn't lead. He just kind of did everything perfectly. There was no mistakes. As we saw a lot of people making mistakes in turn 11. So there you have it. Top step of the podium for Lewis Wasman. He takes full praise for the first round. And of course, well, it's going to give him Williams next week. So maybe it's not going to be the most fun next week, but I'm sure he'll enjoy having the glory for just today. So as I said, this Lewis Wasman taking the win ahead of Sylvain Vessier and Tim Brustalians, and so I'll get them in for interviews if they so wanted. Ollie Flavel in 4th, of course, pitting. He could have had 3rd if he didn't pit, but hindsight is a beautiful thing. Lewis Curtis in 5th, Michael Marlowe 6th, Brandon 7th, Shane in 8th, Lou Cunnan in 9th, Rocco Walsh taking the last point spot, and then Nino, Matthew, and Jared, and actually I think that's also Sondre, who finished outside of the points, and then Paco, Ross, Thomas McIver, Joe Hollis, Luke Baker, and Tom Jewell all DNFing from today's race. So Lewis, Vizier, and Tim. Hopefully that doesn't do anything. No, it doesn't. So if Tim could... Hey Tim,
Hello.
could you get Vizier into the party? Because I cannot find his PSN for some reason.
Even when I'm not a commentator, I'm coming to this party for a fucking interview.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So, I guess we'll start with you if I can hear you, Lewis.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can.
Okay, that's great.
Just making sure. Okay, so just make sure your mic is on share then, Lewis, and we'll get started then. Okay, well, there's not really all that much to say about your race because you never really had a fight with anyone. You led every single lap because when it came down to it, a VSC got you just ahead of Nino. So
Yeah, right.
I'd say really it couldn't have gone better for you today.
Yeah. I knew I had the pace to be up there today. Yeah, qualifying, I had a good lap in the end, which was enough for pole. And then yeah, the race started well. And then I knew I would come out maybe third or fourth after the pit stops. And yeah, the VSC just came in the perfect moment, so I could actually rejoin in first. And yeah, from there on, it was a quite easy race in the end. It was a bit close, also with the cars behind and the rain. I had a little off-track moment, 2 laps, with 2 laps remaining, but yeah, in the end, yeah, I won it. So great start into season 10. I think it's also my 10th win in IRL now, so yeah, great start to the season, and I hope I can be up there as well on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, me being your team, but I would like it as well for both of us. But yeah, really, the only like question I could think of to ask is about the rain. Was there any like thinking that maybe you should pit? Because of course, on the very last lap, it was actually the tire to be on. It's just wasn't the tire for long enough. But were you thinking about pitting, or did you think that it was good enough to just stick with what you had?
No, I was actually quite sure that I would stay out because with 2 laps to go, I knew if I pit on the last lap, you will never be like 25 seconds fast on the intermediate. So I just stayed out, and I think it was the right strategy. I think not pitting was 5 or 6 seconds faster than pitting. So yeah. If I would have gone onto the inter tire, if I could have overtaken the cars, I think I could also have won it with the inter tire because of the penalties they had. So yeah, in the end, I think I did the right strategy, and I didn't think about pitting for the inter tire.
And well, I mean, it got you the win, so it must have been worth something anyway. Next week, Russia. Feeling good about it? Of course, you'll be in the Williams since you won the first round, so it's not going to be so fun, but...
No, Australia's is one of my best tracks, and Russia, I don't like it in this game, so I don't think I'll be up there again, but yeah, I hope that I can score some points and maybe have at least 30 points after next week, so yeah, that's the goal.
Well then, all I can say then is just congratulations on your win, very much dominance, leading every lap, and good luck for, well, this Saturday and next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Which would lead us on to Sylvain Vezier then, who took second. There he is. Of course, your race, I think, was a little more eventful. Maybe at points it didn't look like you were actually going to be getting a podium, but in the end, some crashes, the safety car, of course, was a big thing. But you come away with the P2 today, and I'm sure it's a good result in the end.
Yeah, it was a good result, considering how bad my quali was, qualifying P8. Probably didn't help that I didn't have a setup on, but not really great. And then in the race I had a little bit of tangle with Alpha into turn 1, him closing the door. So spun around, lost about 10 seconds there. And then it was stay out until the pit stop phase, lap 10, go on to the mediums when the VSC came out, and then like 5 laps later there was a safety car, so I put my final set of mediums on to get to the end, and it was just avoiding that crash at the safety car restart, which helped me get through the field. which gained me probably about 8 positions. And then I was catching up to Louis, the leader, but unfortunately I made a mistake in the fast left right hander on lap 26-27 because of the wet weather. And I knew he didn't have any pens, so I probably would have came P2 anyway.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah, it's a good result then for you then. Next week is Russia. Obviously, second. The top two are going to be in Williams next week, so feeling good about it.
It'll be eventful. I would be lucky to get any points, to be honest, depending on how competitive the field is. But I'm expecting there to be quite a couple of safety cars and a lot of pens for track extending and corner cutting.
Yeah, that's true. So, congratulations anyway on your P2 and good luck for next week.
Cheers.
And then moving on to Tim, who really, on lap 26, it didn't really look like you were going to get a podium. And then the two behind you, Pitt, you didn't. And it meant that you were very much in a comfortable P3. So, yeah, I don't think it really was looking like it. So, happy with it, Tim?
Definitely. Yeah, the last lap was a bit critical. I thought also going to the inters. The two guys behind me, I think it was Lewis and Ollie, decided to pit, and it's like, okay, I need to drive carefully and as fast as I can still. Yeah, in the end it paid out. I calculated it wrong. I thought for a moment Ollie will jump me on penalties, but it wasn't enough in the end. A bit of luck. As Lewis said, you can't gain like 25 seconds in one lap on inters. Yeah, a bit lucky. And yeah, generally after this race, I'm pretty happy to stand on the podium.
Yeah. I can't really remember properly, but was there any fights that you had throughout the race, or was it just kind of calm until the end when you found yourself in the podium position? I know actually you did have a bit of a fight for the podium with Lewis and Ollie near the end, I think.
Yeah, I had a up and down race. After lap 1, I was down in P18, I think, because of at the end of sector 1, Joe just like missed the braking zone, completely dived into me. I got no wing damage, was lucky for the moment. I can still drive my strategy. I gave everything I could, then I was pitting to mediums. I wanted to go on hards until the rain comes, but yeah, Commerce gave me mediums, where I was happy in the end about. So I had some good pace on mediums, and the safety car pitted for fresher mediums to come easily to the rain. Yeah, in the end I got a bit of lucky with some incidents ahead of me, like after the second year safety car restart. I had some good fights, especially in the end with Lewis and Ollie. Yeah, with the rain in the end they pitted. As I said already, I was a bit lucky.
Yeah.
But in the end I'm pretty sure. I never thought after lap 1 I would be standing on the podium, and here we go again. Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, and just saying, I don't personally call it luck. I call it a good strategy call at the end to not go on the inters, because obviously it was kind of like do you or don't you, and you decided not to, and it paid off. So congratulations on that front. Of course, next week at Russia, you feeling good about that, or maybe not?
I need to say I'm happy about my podium, but not happy about the car which I'm getting next week. I will be lucky if I'm getting points. But anyway, Russia is one of my better tracks on the game. It's not my best track, but it's definitely a better one. I have some good pace there, especially on my pad. Yeah, I try everything next week and with the slow car, and see where I am ending in the end.
So yeah, well, good luck for you next week, then of course congratulations on the podium. And that would be it really for, well yeah, you're welcome. That would be it for FP today then for round 1. seemed like a pretty good race. Maybe a few crashes, turn 11 kind of claiming quite a few people, unfortunately. So hopefully there's less of that next week and there's a bit more racing. But yeah, I think that was a good opener, and hopefully we see more racing for the next few weeks. So that was FP today. Hope you enjoyed, and good night.